What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC channel. The 2023 college football season is now over, and we start to look ahead to 2024. Going to give you some way too early power rankings for the SEC here. New teams, of course, coming to the conference: Texas and Oklahoma. First time we're doing a 16-team power ranking. That will be interesting. Again, seeing how those teams play in their new conference. Kind of a rough year for the SEC. No team in the national championship. Did not really do very well in the non-conference. At least during the regular season, did pretty well in the postseason of the bowl games. But you can't really put too much stock in those games the way college football is nowadays. But it was interesting. The 14 playoff begins with no SEC teams in the national championship, and it ends with no teams in the national championship. But looking ahead to the 12-team playoff, we could see 4 or 5, maybe even 6 SEC teams in the playoff this upcoming season. There are a lot of contenders. This is way too early to be doing this. We don't have all the information. We don't know what the rosters are going to look like, what the transfer portals are going to look like. I haven't done much research at all, and we don't even know all the players' decisions about the NFL draft. So this is way too early to be doing this, but we do it anyways just because it's fun and just kind of a guess of how things are going to go. After National Signing Day, I'll do a pre-spring power ranking for the SEC, and in that power ranking, I think it'll be a little bit more accurate. We'll have a lot more information. Still, though, it's a long off season. The transfer portal window will open again during the spring or at the end of spring, so it's a crazy off season in college football, like it always is. But that has especially been the case with the transfer portal and the NIL era, all this that's happened in the last few years. So let's get into it. Our 2024 way too early power rankings for the SEC. We'll start at number 16 with Vanderbilt. Seems like a pretty easy choice. Had a really good year in 2022 for their standards, and I kind of predicted it last year. I said this team would not win an SEC game. You look at what they lost, and they lose a lot again. The transfer portal really going to hurt Vanderbilt, because you go there, you wind up impressing some teams, because they're not going to get the big time recruits, but you go to Vanderbilt as a 3-star and you look more like a 4-star, and you maybe want to go to a bigger program, and that's just how it's going to be. Vanderbilt, I think, is going to be stuck as the bottom team in the SEC, really maybe forever. I mean, I just don't see a way for them to get out of that spot with the new era of college football. So tough for Vandy, but I've got them at 16. Number 15 is Arkansas. Lost several players to the transfer portal coming off of a terrible season. Really thought Sam Pittman might get fired. They decided to stick with him. I don't see them having a great year, at least right now. Again, it's early. They added a transfer quarterback from Boise State. We'll see how this roster winds up looking, but maybe they should have went. If they were going to do it, maybe go ahead and do it and kind of start over, rebuild with a new coach this year. But I've got them at 15. I've got Mississippi State number 14. Jeff Lebby steps in there. They bring in the transfer quarterback for Baylor. That'll be an interesting fit. We'll see how they do. I think the offense will be much better with him leading the charge. They move back to an offensive-minded head coach, and I think that'll be good for them in the long run, but some growing pains. It's going to be tough in the SEC this year. It's going to be really tough. The SEC is loaded, and it is deep. So I think Mississippi State probably finishes near the bottom. You got South Carolina number 13. Spencer Rattler moves on. They've got issues really at the line of scrimmage. Can they solve those in recruiting and the transfer portal, those areas? Who's going to be their starting quarterback? A lot of questions for South Carolina, but I wouldn't doubt this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a decent year, but still probably towards the bottom of the SEC. At number 12, Florida. I don't know what to make of this Florida team. I think they were better than their record last year. They just had a really tough schedule. We ranked it as the toughest schedule in all of college football. Lost some key players to the transfer portal, lose some guys in the draft, some guys coming back that maybe you thought would leave. So Graham Mertz back at quarterback. Actually, statistically, was one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. I think he's really underrated, and that'll be good for them. I really don't know what to expect from Florida. Seems like they're kind of on the way down, but maybe they surprise us. Number 11, a team that we feel like is probably on the way up, and that's Auburn. Hugh Freeze in his second year. What can he do? Really all about the quarterback position. He'll be calling plays now, so I think the offense, I expect him to be better regardless of, I think Peyton Thorne will be better for them if he winds up being the starter. I don't know for sure what they're going to do at quarterback, but it's still a team that's got some work to do. I think they are on the way up, but I don't think they're anywhere near there this year. Could have a pretty good season, but it's still definitely in the bottom half of the SEC as it looks right now. Number 10, Texas A&M. Connor Wigman returning from injury. How will he do? Mike Elko did a great job at Duke really right away. So we'll see what this Texas A&M team does. Still, they've got some talent on the roster. Maybe not as much as they had because of the transfer portal, but they've still got a talented roster, and now maybe a good coach that can utilize that talent. And if they can, Texas A&M could be a surprise team this upcoming season. Kentucky, just that consistent, solid middle of the SEC team. I expect that again from them. Really, no reason to expect them to jump up into the top tier, but no reason to expect them to really drop off either. So I've got them kind of right in the middle. Got them at number 9. Number 8 is Tennessee. This is a team that I've got at 8 right now, but I have a gut feeling. Again, I haven't done a lot of research on these teams yet because we just don't have all the information. But this is a team that I wouldn't be surprised if I've got them higher by the time we get to the preseason. I think there are some potential really, really good players on this team that'll be back that maybe could allow them to make a run at the college football playoff. We'll see about Tennessee. But right now, I'm going conservative. I've got a number 8. Number 7, I've got Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold at quarterback, a little inconsistent from what we've seen from him. If he can be really good, Oklahoma can be really good. I don't know that they're really a contender to win the SEC this year, but a good chance to finish in the top half. And at number 6, LSU. They lose some really key players, but they've got a lot of talent on this roster, especially offensively. They've got to fix the defense. If you can get better on defense, I think the offense will be good again. And LSU maybe a playoff contender. We'll see. I think these top 5 teams are definitely playoff contenders, starting with Missouri. Surprise team this year. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They have a chance to be really good again. It's a team that, Tennessee's a team that I think by the time we get to preseason, I may have them moved up. Missouri, maybe a team that I've moved down. We'll see. Again, got to really dig into these rosters as we get into the offseason. But right now, I've got them number 5, Ole Miss at number 4. A great job in the transfer portal once again. They lose Judkins at running back. That's a big loss. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Kiffin's able to go get another running back out of the transfer portal. They've done it so well. And Ole Miss, just a lot of guys coming back, a lot of additions in the transfer portal. This team's for real. This team is for real this year, in my opinion, or they're going to be. And I've got them number 4. Number 3 is Texas. Again, first year in the SEC. Quinn Ewers will be back. They do lose a good bit of talent, but they've recruited really well, and I expect those young guys to step up. And again, we'll see what this roster looks like once we get to the start of the season. Number 2 is Alabama. You look at that recruiting class they had in 2023, last year's recruiting class. Those players are going to be in their second year. A lot of talent with these young guys. I know they lose a lot of players, but Jalen Milroe will be back at quarterback. We'll see what they do in the transfer portal, if they add any key players. But I think Alabama is going to be a hungry team and a team to really watch out for to make a run, maybe at a national championship. But right now, the front runner for me is Georgia. We know these teams are going to lose a lot of players to the NFL. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They're a very deep team. I felt like the last few years, Georgia's been the deepest team in the country, and I think we will see that with again, a new group of young players stepping up for the Bulldogs. Carson Beck back at quarterback, really underrated quarterback. I think he could be a top 5 quarterback in the country this next season. And for me, Georgia, the front runner in the SEC, maybe the front runner in all of college football right now. Again, it's way too early to be doing this, but we're doing it anyways. Would love to get your way too early power rankings for the SEC. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.